very pleased to give you an update on the cause for the beatification of Luisa Piccarreta. And this was announced just recently by Monsignor Paolo Rizzi, who's the postulator for the cause. He had a couple of announcements. The first one was that the House Museum for Luisa Piccarreta was just opened on June 20th, 2025 in Corrado, Italy. So if you're planning to go there, make sure that's one of your destinations. The second is regarding the cause itself. And just as a reminder, the cause was resumed just last year when the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, they provided a neo-obstat for Luisa's writings after some questions regarding those writings. And also, that neo-obstat was communicated formally to the postulator of the cause on July 8th, 2024. So why the pause? So what he described was some theological ambiguities. Now, anytime you have writings as extensive as coming from Luisa Piccarreta, where she has 36 volumes, plus a couple other major works and some minor writings as well, you're going to find something or other in the writings that is misinterpreted. Now, some say that is due to translation difficulties, which is also a problem. Many people don't know that the Italian spoken by Luisa Piccarreta was a form of dialect of Italian. Italy itself was broken up into many different dialects. Some of these dialects could not understand one another. They had different forms of expression, different slang, in some cases different words for the same thing. And it's not just Italy itself. That was pretty common in Europe as well. France is a great example. France was broken up into different dialects. They went in the same direction where they standardized their language. And in Italy's case, what is spoken today and is known as Standard Italian is not the same as the dialects that are spoken in different regions in Italy. So when someone's translating it, they can run into phrases and means of expression that may be a bit foreign. Even for someone from that region today, unless they were familiar with the dialect as spoken then, they may have difficulty with it. So there's that aspect of it. But I believe in a lot of cases, it's this context of taking phrases and words and sentences out of the writings and making sure that they stay in the proper context. Not just theological context, but also context in association with the rest of the writings. And a good example is something that someone brought to me regarding the free will. And there are places in Luisa's writings where it appears like the free will is being downplayed. And if you just took that one sentence out, and it would appear like it doesn't fit in Catholic theology. But if you look at other paragraphs where Jesus was discussing the free will with Luisa, then you understand the context of it. And it's, in this case, a comparison of the free will to the divine will, and also a discussion of the free will, which is inordinate. In other words, it does not follow the will of God and actually rebels against it. But if you look in other volumes, Jesus actually says the free will is a great gift from God given to us creatures. So that's just one example. There's other examples like that as well. So one of the announcements, and I think this is probably not new news to most of you, but they're working on a translation, which they refer to as the typical edition, which is really the authoritative edition. And they're also preparing for the next phase of the cause. So the next phase of the cause they need to come up with a summarization of the findings that they had at the diocesan level. And that needs to be summarized and needs to be prepared for the next scrutiny by theologians. And this process is known as the Postulator, and that's what was referred to by Father Rizzi. Now, he's thinking that this process is going to take about 2 years. So 2 years from now, and this is being made in September of 2025, you're talking about the end of 2027. At that time, it'll be presented to the cardinals for their decision regarding her beatification. And hopefully they make it quick in time for her feast day in April. So some of you may be wondering more about the process itself, the Postulator, and I know for myself as well, it's rather a gray area. So I looked up what that means, and I'm going to give you more detail regarding what's involved. The Postulator is a crucial document in the cause of beatification, serving as a comprehensive collection of evidence that summarizes the candidate's life, virtues, and any miracles attributed to their intercession. And as you know, she had a miraculous life. It is prepared after the diocesan investigation and is the primary resource used by the dicastery of the causes of the saints to evaluate the candidate's holiness. The Postulator undergoes a rigorous examination by a panel of theologians who vote on whether the candidate lived a life of heroic virtue or suffered martyrdom. If the theologians approve, the Postulator is then reviewed by cardinals and bishops within the Congregation of the Causes of the Saints. If their judgment is favorable, the results are presented to the Pope, who gives his approval to proceed with the next step, which either declaring the candidate venerable if heroic virtue is confirmed, or authorizing the beatific process if a miracle has been verified. The Postulator is thus central to the transition from the servant of God to the venerable stage and is a prerequisite for the verification of a miracle required for beatification. So I think we should all have great confidence in these words and the description of the next step. The writings of Luisa have been scrutinized multiple times by theologians, first at the diocesan level, then at the Vatican level, and just recently by the dicastery of the doctrine of the faith. And it has successfully gone through that scrutiny and has successfully been approved. So as I mentioned, I'm very happy that I was able to provide this update for you, and God bless.